found that was interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's it.
Hey, Oscar, thanks for telling Miss Heather that you went to the bathroom. I appreciate that.
That's what he said. They lost it 2-1 in the 10th inning.
Got one listener, one watcher. Let me know if you can hear this. I had to switch phones. Confirmation. It's the worst phone I have. Just let me know. Can you guys hear this?
Line drives. Let's go.
Let me. Thank you, Shep. Okay. Here we go. Top of the first. If you just joined, you missed the first pitch to Diamond Dan. Line drive to right field. Base hit. Mammoth off and running. It's the semifinals. One of the semifinals of the 2022 35 plus Mountain Division World Series. Lakeville Lobos, the number 2 seed, against the Minnesota Mammoth, the number 3 seed. Lakeville and the Mammoth play in the same league back in Minnesota. Teams are very familiar with each other. It's a 5-team division. It seemed probably inevitable to both teams that they were on a collision course, that they would see each other in the playoffs, and here we are. Man on first. Dave Meyer, that's right. Dave Meyer Corp. This is a bad angle. Push it on the other side. Diamond down. Diamond gets in under the tag. He's safe at second. See if I can angle this a little bit better.
Mike, 31, Mike, 31. Gotta come to you, bud.
I know this is an awful angle. Maybe later on I'll try to move behind home plate. I don't have my jersey on today. Diamond Dan might overhear some of the stream, the Diamond cast, but maybe that's okay. Didn't agree with that strike call. Just getting started here. Man on second, nobody out. Top of the first, no score. Dan let off at the base hit to right field. Oh, and he's run up. Twice.
That looks like we're here again, Tom.
Here we are again. I got my photographer to my left.
Wow.
A lot of camera envy. Pat will not let me forget. He's got the better camera. Nate Stark. Trying to get that run in from second home. Jump out to an early lead. Top of the first. Man on second, no score. I know we got people coming on, so we'll try to let everybody know where we're at. Strike. Dave Meyer on the mound. Dave faced us during the round robin portion. There's a line drive to right field. Drops. Pops away from the right fielder. Diamond Dan's going to come around and score. That's a run. Nate Stark shows some excitement at first base. If you watched yesterday, and tip of the cap to you, if you did watch yesterday, we'll talk about that as we go. Nate Stark had 4 at-bats, and every at-bat got progressively better. Pop up infield, fly ball to right, then a double to fly ball to left, and a double to left, and what he told me after the game was the hardest hit ball he's had this tournament, base hit to right. That was a seed to right field. So Nate Stark, to the extent that he was scraping a little bit with his swing, he's found it. Casey Johnson steps to the plate. Casey with an inside the park home run. Characterized by no less of an authority as Tom Corcoran as the Mammoth's best moment of the tournament. That despite the fact that the team turned a triple play yesterday. It's pretty cool seeing Casey hit that inside the park. It was a fly ball line drive. It was well barreled to right field. Burned the right fielder. The right fielder was not the most fleet of foot. Casey raced around the bases. Mammoth up 1-0, 1 out, top of the first. Base hit by Diamond Dan. Lip was rung up on a couple of called strikes he didn't agree with. Nate Stark knocked Diamond Dan in from second base. Ground ball up the middle, this could be 2. Torrey, short, back to first, they got out of it. Still, Mammoth get on the board early, score a run. After half inning, the Mammoth won, Lakeville nothing. I'm gonna see about going behind home plate here. I really would like to do this behind home plate today. This other team knows me. See what the camera situation is over here. I don't think they're gonna object. Now would you look at that? Now I see Diamond's camera is about 10 feet away from me. I wonder if you can hear this. I try to keep my distance from that camera because I imagine there's some people who don't want to hear the commentary, but I think I'm far enough away. Hope. It'd be fun to actually watch the game from this position. We can talk about the pitching and the sequencing and maybe get a little bit more inside baseball versus some of the silliness we've been engaging in for this stream. See Matt Grill out there warming up. So the Mammoth started the tournament off with a 2-1 loss, 13 innings against the same Lakeville team. That was Dave Meyer against Matt Grill. Just a classic game. Lakeville brought in Matt Meyer at the end of the game. We pulled Grilly, I think, maybe after 9 innings, 10 innings. Lakeville managed to tack on a run in the 13th. We had a couple of chances. We had guys on first and third twice. I believe both times against Matt. But we couldn't score that runner from third with less than 2 outs in either instance. So Lakeville took that one. We won our second game. I'm gonna forget the sequence of our wins and losses. At the end of the tournament, we stood at 3-3. I believe Lakeville, they might have been 4-2. They had a tie. They may have been 3-2-1. So the Tulsa Biscuits are playing the Yancey. That's not the right pronunciation. They're playing the 4 seed behind us. So Tulsa is 1, Lakeville 2, we're 3, and the Bandits are 4. Winner of this game will move on to the championship game tomorrow at, I think it's 9 a.m. I think it's another early start. So here we go. Finds a strike zone with that fastball. That's the play, Bowen. Matt only pitched in 1 game. The Brain Trust down here, that consists of Matt Grill and Nate Stark with Randy putting out fires in Europe for his company. Change up, way ahead of that. They resisted the temptation to put Matt in there in some high leverage situations. Can't get him to chase that off-speed pitch. I talked to Matt a little bit about his repertoire before the game, so I can tell you a little bit about that as we go. Matt should be fairly well rested. He pitched a complete game. That changeup again. That's one out. He played a fair amount of infield and some wear and tear on the arm there. Did a lot of resting yesterday in that circus game. Talked to him this morning. He said he's tired, but his arm feels fairly good. Catcher Matt Lippert has told him before that when he gets tired, he gets more movement on his pitches. Home plate ump checks down to first. First base ump says he did not go. Well struck. That is, rattles around the base of the fence. That's a double. We're playing in a Mesa complex today, not one of the major league complexes. So the dimensions are more age appropriate, let's put it that way. Maybe talent appropriate. Only 340 down the left field line, 340 to right field, 385 to center. Now there are some tall fences in the outfield, so it's going to play bigger than those dimensions. But you know, we're not looking at 370 down the line with 420-foot power alleys like we have for most of the week. That ball went hopper to the fence. Had it been a normal field, it would have landed and rolled for a while. Jamie Steinberg mentioned on the first stream, Jamie always seems to hit Matt. Most people know Jamie's an excellent pitcher, but he can really hit as well. This is a little worrisome right here. Man on second. Mammoth up 1-0, bottom of the first. That's a good pitch. Matt throws a fastball, what he described as kind of 2 levels of breaking ball. Didn't characterize it as either a slider or a curve, but he said he throws something that breaks with 2 different speeds. And then a changeup. Starts the changeup off the plate and it breaks back into the plate against right-handed hitters. Likes to work his off-speed pitch off the plate against right-handed hitters. Starts it middle out and then has it break away. There's a fastball that's gets through. I think they're going to hold him up at third. They do. Chopper through the left side. Dan Smolik dove for it, but couldn't put a glove on it. That's an instance where maybe the smaller field prevented that runner from second from scoring. Outfielders don't have to play quite so deep without those cavernous gaps to cover. First and third. 1 man out. Mammoth up 1-0 in the bottom of the first. I think that's the first time we've seen Matt work the inner half. I'm not sure who this batter is. I know it should be a strike. It is a strike. Runner on third doesn't go. I think they respect Lip's arm. Straight steal a second, gets in there. Second and third, 1 out. I think this is Dave Meyer. I think this is the pitcher. Dave is one of the elite pitchers in the Federal League. Oh, Grilly diving, you can see it. Really trying to calm things down here. I think Lip got a little aggressive. Now they're talking. It was a diving stop of a ground ball up the middle. Lip trapped the runner on third. Ran at him, you saw the tag. Threw it to third. The man on second. Let's just get him the bat. Just throw the bat over. This is, I think that's fair, actually. He didn't see the bat. He should have thrown it over. At any rate, here we go. So I think the Mammoth bench, the throw definitely beat the runner. I'm not sure that the runner didn't hook slide behind the base and get the hand in before the tag. First and third, 2 outs. Nubber to Dan, see if he can make this throw. He does. Get out of it. That's a big third out right there. Our bench saw that the throw beat the runner. I heard somebody on the bench say that he slid into the glove, but Torrey was gesturing rather wildly and approvingly about the call. He was coaching third. I think he saw it pretty well, and I think he thought it was a good call by the umpire. Umpire was right there. We have 2 umpires today. It'll be interesting. I'll talk to Dan. Not sure who put that tag on, if it was Dan or Dolly. Find out later what they think. At any rate, a couple of hits by the Lobos, but they don't score a run. Move to the top of the second. I see Dan over here. I can hear his voice.
1-0. Mammoth. Remember, we got Thomas Denver. Side stream indoor baseball experience. All the audio you can want all the time.
I'm trying to keep it. If you guys can hear my voice and you don't like it, I profusely apologize. But I want to get the angle back here, so I'm trying to. For sure.
For sure. I like these little peepholes.
Yeah, aren't they great?
They're kind of interesting.
There's the second stream, the Diamond Vision, the Diamond Cast.
The peepholes here. I go with the spots.
Right. Diamond streams this game. The Diamond Vision. It's got to be the Diamond Vision, yeah. Diamond also, after the game, I know he walks around with his phone and he talks to people. And if I would recommend, if you're tuning in for this stuff, I would recommend that you switch over to that after the game. Get Diamond's perspective on the game. He always has a Diamond Dan player of the game. I was thinking last night, I think what I want to start doing is a Randy Schmidt oh boy moment. I talked to Randy a lot of times, and Randy says oh boy when it's kind of a big moment or a big decision or a difficult issue. So we're going to find a moment this game. It's going to be a fraught moment, a moment that, you know, where there's a lot riding on it. That'll be the Randy Schmidt oh boy moment of the game. I suspect at that moment, if Randy's watching, and I'm pretty sure he is, he'll be saying oh boy. Oh boy. We really miss Randy down here. Here's Nate Jackson, top of the second, Mammoth up 1-0. Breaking ball off the plate. Jamie's got time, flips, pulls a first baseman off the bag, but the first baseman applies a tag. That's an out. First baseman gives Nate a pat on the top of the head. Little contact there, but these teams know each other. It's gotten a little chippy on social media, I would say. But on the field, there isn't a lot of chirping. Certainly our first game. It's a fly ball to the left. Is this going to drop? I don't have the angle. It's not going to drop. It's caught. 2 outs. Ball broke in on the trademark. Dave Meyer's a good pitcher. First game against these guys, it was just a very well-played game, very clean game. A lot of discussion afterwards between the 2 teams. It's a good showing for Minnesota baseball, I think. Here's a knuckleball. Probably a splitter. It had a little movement on it, a little rotation on it. Didn't move like the knuckleball. His pitch has got from here I can see it's got a tails away from the left-handed hitter. That pitch that Scott Sievert just hit, it's like a cutter. Broke late, hard on his hands. Ended up hitting it on the trademark, led to a pretty weak fly ball. It's out ahead on Dan Smolik. 2 strikes. Get Gets a bat on that. Torrey gets over. Torrey can't get there. That ball is fielded in Minnesota. Down on these trampoline turfs. I mentioned in a previous stream, the ball doesn't slow down as much as it does back home because these turfs they're hard and they're very, very short grass. It creates the illusion that the ball's accelerating. Of course it's not, it's slowing down, but because it's not slowing down as quickly as it does in the thickets that we see back home in infields of Minnesota, it feels like that ball just picks up speed. Looked like Torrey's gonna have a line on that, but it just scooted through. So base hit for Dan Smollett. Man on first, 1 out. Top of the second inning, Mammoth up 1-0. Billy Houseman goes the other way. I didn't hear any good ideas from the Mammoth dugout. Appreciate that. Billy didn't try to do that, it was just late. Oh, there was a good idea. It's Pat Ralston. A double play. Oh, what a hop. Would have been a double play had there been 1 out. Instead, there were 2 outs. Force at second. Good wood by Billy. This pitch is good. It's the first time I've seen him from behind home plate. Held us to 1 run through, I don't remember how many innings that first game, maybe 8 innings? I don't know if he went 9. Pitcher's duel ended in a 2-1 Lakeville win after 13. No Matt Meyer today. We had heard that Matt Meyer was flying home on a plane yesterday. I'm assuming it was on a plane that he flew home. Hard to imagine how else he'd fly home. I know John and James Andre left early. They stopped by our house 2 nights ago. I think they were headed to a hotel and we're gonna fly out the next morning. So we chatted with them for a bit. James and John played with the Minnesota Mammoth. I'm sorry, the Minnesota Lumberjacks for a number of years. Lumberjacks were the 35-plus team from the TCMABL that came down here before the Mammoth did. From here I can tell that Grilly doesn't have the fastball that Meyer's got. I suspect that Meyer doesn't have the changeup that Grilly's got. They may have comparable control. We'll see. Go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Mammoth. Good pitch. Batter stands pretty close to the plate. See how Grilly takes it. Matt takes advantage of it. Working inside. Batter said black to the umpire. The umpire said yep. Batter decides not to take the run. 3 pitches, 3 strikes, 1 out. This will probably be a more traditional play-by-play. It will reassure some, I think. We know these guys, so I got to be a little careful, more mindful of what I say and make sure I don't have too much fun at the expense of the other team. So we'll listen up as we go. Never exactly sure how loose to get with this. It's more fun for me when I just have some fun with some of the descriptions, but I want to make sure that I'm respectful of the other team, especially a team like this where I got to see them back home all the time. Top of the third. I'm sorry, bottom of the second, 1-0. That's probably going to drop. Guys. End of the bat, Pooch shot out to center field. Casazza didn't have a chance. Some enthusiastic cheering from the Lobo contingent. Mammoth have a healthy following down here as well. I wish I was familiar with more of these Lakeville batters. I haven't played with them, and despite the fact that we play them a lot, I'm not all that familiar with them. So we'll treat them like we would any other batter down here. We'll talk about what they do, and if we pick up anything about their swings, we'll talk about it. Grilly brings that fastball into the hands. Change up. Another change up. Lip calls such an excellent game. He's caught Matt Grill for so many years. It's a fly ball to right. I think that's going to drop. It does. But she gathers it on a hop. Another unfortunate, from a Mammoth perspective, hit. That was another one off the end of the bat. Not well struck. Found a hole out there. Went out first and second. Took the runner on second. Has got his hands on his knees. He had to stop, make sure that ball dropped, and start up again. Never easy to execute when you're a middle-aged man. First and second, 1 out, bottom of 2, Mammoth up 1-0. Catches the inner half, strike 1. Second time we've seen him start a right-handed hitter off with that. That's a breaking ball. That's his changeup. Matt likes to work that changeup so it comes back and catches the outer half of the plate. He caught a lot of the plate with that one. Good swing by the hitter. I believe the count is 1-2. We'll walk around like we always do, visit the dugout, chat with the guys. Batter holds on that swing. Lobos added a few guys who aren't on their summer team, just as we did for this tournament. Dave Meyer is one. Changeup, just giving these guys fits.
Yeah, I got time. Hey, all right, let's go.
Oh my goodness, I almost got killed. Baseball landed like a mortar 5 feet from me. People behind us fouled the ball in our direction. Two outs, first and second. Another big at bat. Really working that pitch down.
Right.
See if Matt can get out of this one. That changeup. It's just amazing. These hitters know what's coming. If they've never faced Matt Grill before, the people on the bench are telling these guys, watch out for that changeup. There, he tried to pump the fastball. Lip gave him a little gesture like, that's right, good pitch. Elevated the fastball. A little bit too high though. Let's see if he comes back with that changeup down and away. Pop up, Casey calling it. Usually reliable over there. Makes the catch. Matt Grill will give up base runners. Matt Grill gives up hits. Does a really good job preventing them from crossing home plate though. pitching at these first 2 innings. Let's move to the top of the third. See if we can get some offense going against Dave Meyer. We didn't in the first game. Jumped out to an early 1-0 lead. Dan Casaza with a first pitch single to right. And Nate Stark drove him in from second base. Drove in a pinch runner, actually. Dan was, I think he was forced at second. At any rate, Nate Stark drove in the Mammoth lone run with a line drive single to right field. Here at 1-0. Winner today moves on to the championship game tomorrow. It's another morning start, I'm quite sure. 5 teams in the Mountain Division this year. We have the other semifinal going on back here. A Tulsa team, for my money, probably the deepest team. Biggest roster. Got a lefty who looks like he's throwing pretty hard. A lot of athletic looking players. They beat us, although that was a very close game. They're playing a Bandits team that lacks the depth of roster. It's a shorter roster, but they have some really good hitters. So the question in my mind with the Bandits will be, how much pitching do they have left? Wondered that the whole tournament. I think it's an advantage to both the Lobos. I think there's a sizable advantage to being a 2nd and 3rd seed rather than a 4th, because my assumption is that Tulsa has, we heard they had an ex-pro pitcher. I believe Lakeville may have chased that pitcher early. I'm sure he's very good. And if Tulsa has to burn that pitcher up today, obviously that works to the benefit of both the Lobos and the Mammoth, depending on who moves on. Here's Matt Van Overbeek. Matt's one of the players we added for this tournament. Matt played with a 40-plus team. They made a run last week, a team from Minnesota, made it to the finals of their division. There's that, oh, that was not a strike. There's that tumbling, I don't know if that's a knuckleball or it's either a knuckleball or a splitter, because it's got that, that's a good pitch off the plate. He's got a pitch that he can break. It breaks, it's a harder, he's got a fastball that I would say cuts in on a righty. And then he's got some kind of, presumably a slider that breaks the other way. And then for a 3rd pitch, we saw whatever that pitch is, assuming it's a splitter. Can work both sides of the plate. There's a pitch that breaks away off the plate, dolly. Can work both sides of the plate. Late action on his pitches. A couple pitches to choose from. Formidable opponent. Let's see. Mike chased the slider off the plate. Mike's had a really good tournament for the Mammoth. There's that, whatever that is, tumbling pitch. Throws it as almost as a changeup. Count is 1-2. 1 out, top of the 3rd. That almost looked like a knuckleball that he threw harder. I should not guess at what these pitches are, because I'm going to be so wrong. That looks like a knuckleball. Whatever, it's a strikeout. 2 outs. Diamond Dan with 2 outs. You want Dan up there with nobody out. He has such a high on-base percentage. In this tournament, I bet his on-base percentage is approaching 600. I haven't seen him bunt yet. No, he did bunt once. He bunted straight up. He was caught by the catcher. See Jamie Steinberg creeping up over at 3rd base. He knows. Jamie moves well over there, and he's got a strong arm. He's one guy who could probably give Dan a run for his money on a bunt. Dan is so fast. Gets that bunt down to the left side. It's hard to throw him out. No bunt, though. Oh, he checks it. Goes foul. First baseman tried to bat that ball fair, hoping that both umpires wouldn't notice. everyone on the field noticed. Got Dan a little bit out in front on that swing. Dan hammered the first pitch he saw from Dave Meyer this game to right field. There's that. It's got to be a knuckleball. Saying it's nice to get Dan leading off because he hard ground ball to Torrey fields, throws, that's the out. It's a good inning for Lakeville. Cleared Dan at the top of the order. Go to the bottom of the third, 1-0 Mammoth. So the Mammoth played a game yesterday. I don't know how many people tuned in, but that game didn't mean anything, really. The 4 teams that were going to make the playoffs were determined before any team played yesterday. I think I talked to the team we played, the Bandits, and first baseman agreed with my assessment and the assessment of most of the Mammoth that it didn't really matter what your seed was. The top 4 teams have been pretty evenly matched. Whether you're 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're going to have an opponent that isn't going to be that much better, that much worse than any of the other 3 teams you might have played. As a result, the Mammoth certainly kind of took yesterday off. We rested a lot of our regulars. Certainly, we did not throw anybody at them that we'd use in the playoffs. And the result was kind of a blimp crash, I would say. It was a slow motion disaster from the Mammoth's perspective. A disaster is too strong of a word. You wouldn't watch that game and say, oh, the humanity. It wasn't that kind of blimp crash. It wasn't that kind of slow motion disaster, but it was a slow motion crash. It was a game that just went on and on and on. It kept on getting hits off of our batting practice pitching. The hard stuff on the ground in the infield found a hole. The soft stuff in the air to the outfield found the holes. So they ended up beating us. Probably the worst, certainly the worst loss in Mammoth history from a scoreboard perspective. Ground ball foul. We lost that game. I don't know what the final was. 20-6, something like that. Here we're in the bottom of the third. Mammoth are up 1-0. Nobody out. Once again, flailing with that changeup. Might have been his breaking pitch off the plate. Broke away rather than back. I think he just fell over on that swing. I don't think it hit his foot. If you've ever fouled a ball off your foot, you immediately wish you were wearing some kind of armor down there because it hurts so much. It really hurts to get hit too, which it just always astounds me. I see major league batters taking these 95-mile-an-hour fastballs and they just run to first like it's a mosquito bite. That's a strike. Great pitch. When I get hit, I mean, I'm grimacing and wincing, trying not to cry. And then, you know, the bruise turns various shades of purple and yellow, and you can see the seam sometimes. And these are like 60-mile-an-hour TCMABL fastballs. Change up once again. You'll be hearing that a lot this game, I think. Great spot. That was his breaking pitch. So he comes in, down and in. Change up, swings over at 2 strikes. From here, I can just see the downward break on that changeup. It just is a chopper to Dan. Dan lets it go foul. Dan plays more first base than third base. We'll do the defensive alignment here in a second. Dan Smolik is at third. He plays first more than third. I think there's some apprehension. You can hear it in his voice when he talks about playing third base, about the throw. His glove is solid. I think he's had one or two adventures with those throws, and I think it's gotten in his head a little bit. So one thing to watch for from Dan is on those routine ground balls where he sets and throws, if he throws a strike to Nate. He had one chance this game with runners on base, and he threw a strike, so that's a good sign. Defensively, we got Dan Smolik at third. Ground ball, Grilly dives, get by him. Wow, runner really ran. Softly hit ground ball. Evaded the glove of a diving Matt Grillet off the mound. Casey came in, scooped, and threw the runner out by a step. Dan Smolik at third, Mike Dahl at short, Casey Johnson at second. At first base, we've got Nate Stark. Left to right, got Billy Hausman, Dan Casaza, and Brian Bushman. So there we do have a change in the outfield alignment. Billy usually plays center to pitch off the plate. Dan Casaza is usually in left, but it's possible that Billy's feeling a little sore today. Billy's a couple years older than Dan. There's a well-hit ball to left. Billy's having to come in, makes the catch. 3 outs. I think Billy was fooled like I was. He broke back, came in. I am gonna take a walk here. You can see we've got a lot of people watching today. A lot of people made the trip. Scott Sievert, his parents, I believe. The Dahl family here up in the corner. His wife, I believe his parents. I met his mom, very nice woman.
Some more run support. Let's go. Let's give him one.
Good job, Grilly.
I want two. How about two?
Here you go. Good job, Grilly. Great job.
Who likes to do this inning? Who likes 2 runs? Do you like 2 runs? Do you?
I think the stream likes 2 runs, Matt. Tommy, call him Matt. Jesus.
Well, let's get
Grilly
2
some more runs,
runs.
boys. Let's get Grilly some more runs. Come on, boys.
More runs.
Well, show me a
More runs.
Here we go.
No money, no problem, fellas.
Good start, Casey. Sounds like runs, boys. Fuck yeah, man. Hey, let's show girl how much we appreciate him. Let's give him some support. Hey, what do they say, huh? Here we go. Here we go. Come on, boys.
Sounds like 1, 2, 3 push.
Oh, yeah, man. Let's go.
Smart move on that ground ball, Dan. Let
I
it
was a little
go.
nervous for a second. I was like, well, what if he calls that fair? Like, I saw a bounce foul.
Would have been kind of a rush throw, too.
He was
right?
fast.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to. Girls looking good up there. They're missing. I mean, they're way off on his pitches right now. So
That
I'll let him do
changeup
this.
of his is just, he's
Nasty.
burying it, and they're
Yeah.
just swinging. They're missing it by about a half a foot.
Yep, I noticed that all right there. It's,
Yeah. Okay, let's get back. Let's get set up back in our little hobbit hole back here. Mike Lippert stepping in. First pitch is a ball. I think this is top of, oh, not this again, top of 3 or top of 4. Mammoth are up 1-0. Good fastball. 3-0. Nice to get Lip on base. Number 2 hitter today. Dave Meyer pumps a strike in there. Lip taking all the way, 3-1. Let's see what Meyer comes back with here. Yeah, it's a little cutter. Steinberg throws to first. In time for Mike Lippert. That's 1 out. Comes Nate Stark. Light went on with Nate Stark's swing yesterday. Struggling a little bit. Put together 4 really good at-bats. I would say 3 good at-bats, his first one. pop out to the infield, but every hit got progressively better. He led off this game with a ringing single to right field. It's a barreled ground ball to the left side. Shortstop picks, steps, throws. It's 2 outs. 2 quick ones. Feels a little bit like the first game between these two teams and these two pitchers. Very quick, very efficient innings. Grilly's had some activity on the bases. Not a lot of deep counts though. Dave Meyer's doing a really good job working both sides of the plate. Mixing his pitches well. And there's a little fly ball to right. It's just gonna drop. It is gonna drop, base hit. You actually out there have a better view of this game than I do. At my eye level is I'll show you what I'm standing behind this windscreen with a hole in it, but unfortunately I have to kind of look between the phone and the top of that box to see anything. Tori at second is asking for a scorebook check. They don't want Diamond Dan at first base. They know how disruptive he is on the bases. He's kidding, he knows. I talked to Tori after the game earlier in this tournament. And he just came on and told me that the guy he really worries about is Dan Casaza because he is so disruptive. He's the guy I would worry about the most too in this lineup. I think if Tom Corcoran were in this lineup, he'd worry about Cork. Without Cork, I think Diamond Dan becomes... No, they're going to get him if they tag on. It's a good throw. The pitcher actually gave a thumbs up to the catcher. Looked like Torrey may have come out in front of the base a little bit more than he needed to. Hard to see from here, but it almost seems like a better angle. If he'd gotten there a little bit sooner, he might have had a play, but it's hard to say. Dan is so fast. Ground ball, it's gonna, oh my goodness, what a throw. Diving play by the shortstop. Hops to his feet. Flings it over to the first baseman, beats Nate by a couple of steps. Nate isn't Vince Coleman, Nate Jackson I'm talking of. He's not Lou Brock. He's not Willie Wilson. He's not going to set any land speed records. Shortstop picked a good time to make that kind of play. If that's Diamond Dan running, I'd say Nate Dahl, Mike Lippert. I'm not sure they throw those base runners out. But they threw Nate Jackson out, so the score remains 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. I'm quite sure it's the bottom of the fourth, but not positive. Tori's going to come across your screen here in a second. There he is. Trying to overhear the conversation. Whatever it is, Tori's laughing. Here's Dave Meyer, the pitcher. I don't know anything about Dave as a hitter, but I say it's more common than it is uncommon that an elite pitcher is also an elite hitter in the amateur level. Jamie Steinberg comes to mind. Apparently I think Dave might be batting cleanup for them today. Matt Grill's an excellent hitter. Nate Stark, first baseman, another two-way player. He went. Yep, it's a good call by the first base umpire. Trying trying to think of a pitcher that I play with who's pitcher only. Ken Wangler considers himself a pitcher only, but I can tell you, having seen Kenny and...
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
How you guys doing over there?
We're good.
Good?
Yeah. How are you guys feeling?
Good. Do you know if there's a re-entry, if we run for somebody? Does that person have to bat the next time?
And then can the first guy come back in?
Yeah.
I honestly,
Nobody seems to know.
I honestly don't know. I would, you know, the guy running the team today is Dave Stark at first base.
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
As you know, like all these rules are different.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Louis. It's Louis with Lakeville asking about the runner reentry rule. You heard my answer. I don't know what the rule is on that. You get 2 non-runners, which is to say that you can designate 2 players in your lineup who don't run. They get on base, the last batted out comes in and runs for the player. Here's Joe Witt. Joe has hit a home run off of Matt Grill before. Matt's also had a lot of success across his other at-bats. Keeping his big bat under control. You can see Joe's just smiling. He's got to know that pitch is coming. It's got to be so maddening. Good pitch. Got him casting in that pitch off the plate, and then he came in. The fastball. 2 strikes. Change up off the plate again. There it is. Waves at it. Oh, it's going to be a tough play. Really nice hustle from Joe Witt. Joe really got down the line hard. It was a ground ball kind of in the Bermuda Triangle between pitcher, second, and first. Really couldn't cut. Matt couldn't cut it off. Some confusion here as to who has to run for Joe Witt. I think it was supposed to be Dave Meyer, but because Dave's the pitcher, I think they're going to opt to let Joe Witt run. Joe really hustled on the line. Casey got to that ball, but he saw that Joe was going to beat the throw if he threw it overhand, so Casey just tried to kind of glove and scoop in kind of the same motion. Sharp to the right side, gets through. A roar from number 33. I think that's Germeyer. I don't know. I shouldn't say his name. I know he's something of a fixture in the Federal League, so I should not mispronounce his name. You don't want to mispronounce the names of the legends of the league. He had a pretty, I would say, I can say this objectively, a pretty poor first at-bat. 3 pitches, 3 strikes. Nate, who's managing the team, is now talking to the umpire. I think that they're talking about runners. I suspect what Nate is telling the umpire is that once a non-runner, a man who's claimed as a non-runner, someone who's got an NR next to his name on the scorecard, once that player opts to run, he has to run. So Witt's on second, and now I think what the Lobos want to do is, he's saying that guy's a non-runner. That's what Louis is saying. But what Louis may not know is that once the non-runner opts out and says, I'll run, he's got to stay in. You can't pull him out once he's made that decision. And I think Joe may have to run the rest of the game now. Pretty sure that's the conversation. So Lobos have Joe Witt at second. If we're judging by his non-running designation, not the fastest runner at second base. May take a gap shot or a very well-struck single to get Joe around the bases. We'll see. Good pitch. Matt Grill in control. I keep saying Grilly, and I've got to stop saying it because Matt approached me at the end of the last stream, kind of tongue-in-cheek, a wry smile on his face, informing me that his mother would rather I refer to Matt as Matty rather than Grilly. So I keep trying to catch myself. I know this isn't a big deal to her, I'm sure. She's probably not happy that I'm bringing it up, but Matt is in command right now. Like I said, Matt gives up base runners. He doesn't give up a lot of runs. Well, that's gonna be, we called it foul. I thought he said out. That would have been a double play. Dan caught that ball on the base, standing on the bag, but the ball must have been obviously on the wrong side of the base from a Mammoth perspective. If you missed it yesterday, the Mammoth turned a triple play. I was actually pitching. Buries that changeup for 2. I came in relief of our starting pitcher. I believe they had the bases loaded. Guy hit like a 2-hopper to Dan Smolik at third. Dan, long-limbed, took him about 2 steps to get to third, threw a strike to second at Casey Johnson. Casey swinging through that pitch again. Casey turned the throw to first. We had our first triple play in franchise history. And this goes all the way back to the Lumberjacks, if you want to consider them part of this. It's a little pop to left. Billy calling it. See if Billy can convert. He does. 3 outs. Once again, that gives up a few base runners, but does not give up a run. I'm gonna go find out what the score is, or what the inning is. Played through a squall 2 days ago. Hailstorm, it's cold. Warmed up yesterday, today is beautiful. What's the inning, do we know, Dan?
Hey, more runs, please. Thank you.
I think it might be.
Oh, more runs, please.
Hey, what inning do you got? Yeah, that's top 4, 5.
Top 5. Top 5.
Top
1
5?
nothing. More runs, please. More runs, please. More runs, please.
On the non-runner, yeah? If he doesn't come out, they lose it.
Yeah, if it takes 1 pitch on the bases, it's done for the entire game, right?
We got more runs.
So he's got to run the rest of the game.
More runs, please.
He's not the catcher.
Oh, the short something like incredible dive.
Oh, really?
The best player I've seen.
More runs, please. More runs, please.
It was a full dive layout where he was like 2 feet off the ground with his hand fully extended above his head. And then threw a seed to his knees.
And then he threw a seed to the first base.
Yeah, from his knees.
Do you need any?
So what Casey has to say.
I read it on Yelp.
What are we thinking about the pitcher, Meyer?
Oh, he's decent. Yeah, I mean, right now he's, in my at-bats, he's counting on his slider. So I've seen that 2 times in my first at-bat, and then the 1 pitch I saw in my second at-bat.
Is he throwing a knuckleball or a splitter?
He is. I haven't seen it. I saw it in game 1. Let's see what Sievert does.
Oh, this is Sievert. Let's get back here.
Now you, Scotty. Of course.
Scott Sievert at the plate. Make sure we get this. There's a knuckleball. I wasn't sure if it was a knuckle or a splitter. It has movement and it's got that kind of overhead tumble, but no,
Did we talk about this in game 1?
I don't know. It's one or the other.
There's a slider.
His fastball breaks into a righty too. It's a cutter, so he's got pitches that break either way.
Oh yeah. That's good.
It's a good pitcher, man. Tight slider. It's a nasty pitch. You can see the tight spin from here on that slider. Got a late break on it too. Dan Smolik. It's another. It's yours. I can't remember. 13 or
Tuck. Winder, Ludi, Dennis, Cork.
And swinging for something.
Tail end fastball.
Yeah, that's that fastball that I think is a cutter to a righty. I think that's what I'm seeing here, Case. Ground ball to Torrey. Torrey boots it, but he's going to recover and throw. 2 outs. Good play by Torrey. Stayed down on that ball. Fought the temptation to play a hop that never came. Scooted out in front of him, but he gathered and threw out Dan Smolik for the second out. This game is exactly like the first game. That first game went by so quickly. We're already in the top of the 5th here. All right, there's what we think is a knuckleball. Bill a little late on that pitch. Let's get a hard fastball here. No, he throws the slider off the plate. Pick his poison here, man. Seen the knuckler, he's seen the slider. Dave shook him off, now says, yep. Let's see. Fastball, very close. I think that was a good call by the umpire, but that was very close. Now what do we see? Slider, got him, 3 outs. I have to say, but for that, if it weren't for that first inning, I would say that Meyer feels like Dave Meyer might be in a little bit more command of this game than Matt Grill. Matt's had a little bit more activity on the base paths than Meyer's seen. Meyer gave up a leadoff single to Dan Casaza, came around on a Nate Stark single. Just kept everyone else off base for the most part. Go to the bottom of the 5th. No fishing this morning. We did go over to the hot tub last night. If you didn't hear, our hot tub doesn't work. We met our neighbor a couple days ago. He had a hot tub. He was leaving his property, going up north or something. I don't know. I guess that's a thing down here as well. But he volunteered his hot tub for our use. He said, look, just hop the fence and turn it on and turn it off when you leave. So we've been without a hot tub until the past couple of days. But we had one last night. Pat Hanlon joined us in the hot tub. See if Matt can get this leadoff hitter. Leads him off with a strike. This is the macro we're all accustomed to seeing. Complete command of the strike zone. Complete command of that changeup. A 1-0 lead isn't enough though. Lakeville can hit. All right, that's the fastball. All right, here's the throw I was talking about. Dan throws a strike. It's really good to see. Dan has an accurate arm. He's got a really strong arm. We've talked to Dan Smolik. I'm a third baseman. We've talked to him before about pitching. You play catch with Dan. He's one of these guys. He's loose-limbed. He flings it in there. It's got a tremendous amount of movement. I don't like playing catch with him for that reason. Comes in hot. There's a pop-up right side. Looks like Nate Stark's got a play on it. Circles, squeezes, 2 outs. And he has pitched a little bit for the Mammoth, but he's not comfortable on the mound. Incoming. That was a Mordor that dropped maybe 20 feet from me this time. So he's got a strong arm. And I think he's got an accurate arm. The concerns he has about That throw to first is all mental. There's a base hit to left field. Nice hit. Oh, he's going for two. I think he's going to get there. That was a line drive single to left. Billy ran and cut it off. I didn't see what happened out there. I suspect it was, no, that's Scott Sievert out there. I suspect it was hit hard enough that it took a slightly wonky hop. Scott fumbled it a bit out there, gave the runner a chance to get to second. 2 outs, man on second. Mammoth up 1. Bottom of the 5th. Another scoring opportunity for the Lobos. Caught a lot of the plate with that pitch. Called a strike. Foul to the left side, 2 strikes. Just had someone with a camera slide in right next to me. Wasn't sure who he was with, so I went radio silent there for a second. He's gone now. Lip going out, talking to Matt. Maybe want to make sure they're on the same page with this next pitch. This is an important one. I heard someone on the Lobos dugout say, you know what's coming. Anticipating a changeup here. Greeley calling it. Doesn't want to take any chances. Sorry, Terry. Matt calling it. Doesn't want to take any chances. Gloves it. That's an out. So we learned a little bit about what Nate Stark does for a living. Nate works for Boston Scientific. I think I knew that. But he went into a little bit more detail. The project he's working on now involves lasers. Apparently they are used to zap kidney stones. Nate seemed unconcerned with the potential military application of his research. Some Death Star construction. Pat Hanlon is in the hot tub with us. Pat is the mayor of Hopkins. In addition to his day job, it's a really long, fancy title, a lot of words in it. Some kind of environmental position with the city of Minneapolis, I think. It's kind of a big deal, though. Casey Johnson, 3rd member of the hot tub, works in logistics. I write software. This morning we argued whether a wrap should be considered a sandwich. Nate Stark kind of cornered me in the conversation. It got to the point where I was claiming that a Subway is not a sandwich, it's a sub. And then Nate just kind of looked at me wide-eyed and with some astonishment that I would actually argue that position. And I recognized that he had really argued me into a place I did not want to be, but at that point, I did not want to yield, so I stuck to my guns. I said, look, it's a sub. A wrap is a wrap, a sub is a sub, a sandwich is a sandwich. So you can get the leadoff hitter on. That's a good fastball. Matt Van Overbeek at the plate. Matt's had a couple of good, solid hits for us this tournament. Threw in the first game, I think, maybe the second. Tweaked his knee a little bit on the side, hasn't pitched since. Missed that slider by quite a bit. I think if I'm this pitcher, I think I try to strike Matt out with a slider. I saw him swinging with that slider earlier as well. I don't know that you throw it here. You might set him up. Throw that slider again. He did throw the slider, but he caught more of the plate. suspect he wanted that off the plate a little bit more, and he got away with one there. Went out. Mike Dahl. On the way in, there were 5 of us in the car, and we talked about if only 2 were to survive the car ride, who would those 2 be? We agreed it would have to be Nate Stark. He'd pitch tomorrow if we make it. Looks like Mike Dahl was thinking about a bunt there. Instead, he bunted it into the catcher. I'm not sure where that caught the catcher. Just tapping his leg. So we agreed that Nate Stark would have to be one of the survivors of some kind of wreck. And then Pat and I looked at each other and realized Dan Smolik and Casey Johnson would be one of those 2 would be the second, since they're such prominent members of the lineup. Pat and I realized we were on the outside looking in on that decision. We were the most expendable. Happily for us, the car ride came and went without incident. See if Dolly can find a hole here. He's really set up now to go outside. I haven't seen him come inside much against righties. He did there. I would expect that slider off the plate here. Instead, a hard fastball. Dolly goes to right with it. It gets down. He's rounding first. Headed for second. Throw comes in. He's going to be in there with a double. Dolly's parents are here. I know they're going to be thrilled with that. I think his wife is here too, his kids. It's exactly what we needed with Mike Dahl and this guy coming up to the plate. Even just one more run for the Mammoth would feel enormous. As well as Matt's pitching and as close as these games have been. We're in the top of the 6th. Mammoth are leading 1-0. I believe there's 2 outs. I don't think you pitch around Dan, but I think you pitch him very carefully. Let's see if he gets anything to hit here. That's not a pitch to hit. I think if you see a 4-pitch walk, given the control, the command he's demonstrated, you conclude that Dave decided that take his chances with the next hitter, but we'll see. It's a 2-0 count here. If he's going to go after him, we'll come after him now. Pitch well off the plate, 3-0. Is he going to risk throwing him something that Dan can turn on? I actually think Dan would swing 3-0. Right down the pipe. Dan hits it fair down the line. That's going to score a run. Dan may get to third base. He's looking at him. Oh, he should go. Nope, he's not going. Good throw by Corey. Dan doing something with his arm out there. I think that's supposed to be a mammoth trunk. That was really interesting. We saw Dave Meyer, to me, pretty conspicuously working around Dan those first 3 pitches. And then tried to throw that 3-0 fastball. Maybe try to get him to chase 3-1. Instead, Dan ripped a hot grounder, maybe 6 inches inside of the first base line, side of first base. Scores Mike Dahl from second base. Big 2-0 run for the Mammoth. Once again, Dan Casaza comes through. Team's best player performs like the team's best player. Mike Lippert's going to give him a run for that designation before it's all over, though. It feels like every tournament that goes on, Mike's role on this team just grows. He's so important behind the plate. There was only 1 out. Okay, now there's 2 outs. Oh, I got to do a better job of this. I I would say we have our second hottest hitter on the team right now, and Nate Stark. Gets the baseball refrain of no one better from the dugout. But for Diamond Dan, I'd say right now probably true if you're talking about hitters in the Mammoth lineup right now. Off the plate. Nate landed a single, drove in the Mammoth's only run, scratched out the Mammoth's first run. See if Dave Meyer is careful with Nate. Standing in the shade and just cold again. It's harder to talk when I get cold. I tense up. I gotta put a sweatshirt on. There's a foul ball to the left. Big Tulsa behind us just scored a couple of runs. Boy, hit here. It's going to score Dan from second. Ground ball up the middle. Shortstop's very good. Fields throws in the dirt. Gets by the first baseman. Run's going to score. Attaboy, Dan. Okay, we had some kind of contact at first base. I see Nate bending over. Nate is probably, if I had to rank the guys on the team who would take a cheap shot at another player, it'd be hard to come up with that list because we don't have guys who do that, but Nate might be forced to do it at gunpoint. I might put Nate at the very bottom of the list. He did not tend to initiate contact there. I think that was just a bad throw from the shortstop. First baseman's tapping his chest like it was on him, but shortstop had plenty of time. He just threw a low C to the first baseman. Got one of those uncomfortable hops. Couldn't lay it, kind of had to try to play the hop. Just shot right by him. But I think he kind of fell back, trying to give himself more time to react to the hop, and that action of falling back caused him to fall into Nate. Was crossing the bag at the same time. At any rate, Mammoth pick up a really important third run, I would say. Makes the hill that much taller for this Lobo team to climb. 3 runs when you got Matt Grill on the mound is it's a chore. 2 outs. It is the bottom of the top of the 6th.
That's what I thought. It was fast, right? Yeah.
Team photographers should probably know that, Pat.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I
mean,
yeah. I felt sheepish doing it, but I knew you'd know. So you made it over here for you. Swallowed my pride.
Right. Casey came over earlier. I talked to him about that fastball that has some cutting motion. It's not coming in hard with the fastball very often, though. Really working off the plate like that. Okay, the dispute here is that the catcher made it, you saw it, kind of a diving play in that ball, and immediately called time. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. The umpire granted him time. Matt Van Overbeek at first alertly noticed that the catcher was strung out on the ground, as if on the rack. Went to second, but the umpire put him back at first base, saying he granted the timeout call. Good inning for the Mammoth. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. Tori's calling everyone in. I can't get it on this camera. If you played against Tori, you know that Tori is a fiery guy. If I'm him, I think this is probably a good idea. I mean, you're down 3-0 against a pitcher that you've really struggled with over the years. imploring his team. I don't know if you could hear that. Imploring his team to put out their very best effort the rest of the game. I'm not a huge fan of those huddles in front of the dugout in the middle of the game, but if there was a time for one, I think this was a good time for it. Got to make sure that guys don't let that inning in this deficit affect them to the point where they just kind of quietly lay down. Lakeville's not the team that quietly lays down, but from an emotional perspective, it's a difficult inning for them. Terry tried to fire him up with a little speech. I think if I were Lakeville, this is the guy I'd want to lead this inning off. Jamie Steinberg. I mentioned earlier in this stream, Jamie's had some success against Matt. Drove in the team's lone run they scored against Matt in our first contest in this tournament. Double down the line. There's a base hit to center field. Jamie does what Jamie does against Matt. Played with Jamie. Kenny and I added him to a lumberjack team, one of the last lumberjack teams that came down here. Really good guy, excellent pitcher, good hitter. Saw it right there. So they get their leadoff hitter on. It's like a guy with some speed at first. See if they challenge Matt. See if they try to steal a base here. There's a soft chop to the left side. It's going to be a tough play. Oh, we had him at second. That one hurts. Slow roller to Dan Smolik at third. Threw a ball to Casey at second. Casey had to reach for it. Stretched out towards the pitcher. He didn't have to lunge for it, though. It looks like it just went off the tip of his glove. We'll have to ask him about that. A little hard to see here how much of a stretch that was, but big swing from number 77. Is this Joe Witt again? Victimized by that changeup once again. Now, I mentioned earlier, Joe Witt hit a home run against Mike Grill in a regular season game a couple years ago. Joe played in the rookie league, I believe. Which makes him an ex-pro in my book. Oh, that is crushed. That might be gone. Instead, it's in Bush's glove. Now, in my defense, like I said, I can't really see the ball once it gets above the level of the catcher. But that's probably more evidence that this team would do well to get a man who actually does announcing for a living, or at least would like to, Nick Tuckner, down here one year so he can do this play-by-play. I really thought that ball had a chance off the bat. But Brian Bushman out in right field really didn't have to go very far to catch that. I'm sure he was playing him deep back there, but I'm not going to try this man's name. I think people who may play in the Federal League know who he is. I can tell you that he struck out on 3 pitches his first at-bat, hit a single his second at-bat. It's a good pitch. Feels like he's pretty close to the plate. Matt painted that black with that pitch in the first at-bat. He just did it again. Seems like it would be difficult for him to get the hands to that ball. Let's see what he does here. Ball was a little bit off the plate. Nice piece of hitting. Went out first and second. Lobos on the board, 3-1. Bottom of 6. One down, first and second. Mammoth up 3-1. Fly ball to right. Bushy's under it. It's been rock solid out there. Oh, drops it. Throws him out at second base. Okay, that didn't hurt too much. Run on second, advance to third. First error, maybe I've seen, that might be the first error I've ever seen Brian make out there. Was under it. I don't know if he was fighting the sun a little bit. That's very possible. Looks like that sun would be in his eyes. Landed in his glove and kind of rattled around, came out, but the runner on first was barely off the base when the ball hit the ground. Brian Bushman had the presence of mind to pick the ball up and throw it to second base. Yeah. So, some discussion here. This is Mike Shaner, I think, talking to Torrey. I believe the man on base is a non-runner. Last batted out is supposed to run for the non-runner. The last batted out is Joe Witt. Now, Joe Witt was a non-runner on the scorecard, but he opted to run the last time he got on base. He loses his non-running designation. And as the last batted out, Joe Witt should have to run now for this player. I believe that's the way this should break down, but got a huddle here between two managers. It's possible if we're back home. It's a regular season Federal League game. It's possible the Mammoth would just waive that and say Joe doesn't have to run. I just heard Torrey say that we can sub and then re-enter. So I think what they're going to, I don't know what that rule is. It's very possible. I believe the sub and re-entry rule is that you can take a player out of the game for a runner. I think this runner has to bat next time. And then the player he went in for in the base paths, I think that player then may come back into the game. But I'm not sure about that rule. I never use it when I'm managing teams. Appears that's what's happening now, though. First and third. We've seen Matt Grill in this game, and I've seen it throughout his Mammoth career. This is where he gets the out. Let's see if he can get the out here. We'll also see if the man on first steals second, and if the guy at third decides to take off for home. First and third, 2 outs, 3-1 Mammoth. Pitch was up. He's got this batter to swing over that changeup a lot. Work the top of the zone there. Let's see. Come back with a changeup at some point. Let's see when it happens. There it was. Batter interference. Well, I think we're going to hear Torrey come out. That's a really interesting call. At a really important time of the game. I honestly didn't see that. What the umpire is claiming is that I think on the batter's follow-through, he went across the plate which prevented Mike Lippert a direct path with his throw to second. If I'm being honest, and I always try to be honest in these broadcasts, I didn't see that. Now, I don't have the benefit of slow motion, but certainly in real time, it just looked like a normal swing to me. And it looked to me like Mike Lippert decided just to hold that ball. I'm gonna go ask him. Mike will be honest too. See what he says.
It's got a little vinegar in it, doesn't it?
It's a call you almost never see, and in that situation, I'd be a little upset, I think, if that were called against us. See what Mike said.
So you know.
Was that interference?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either.
His bat was like in the zone. Grill said it probably was because he did it as a righty. He was like this, but I mean that's not why I didn't throw. But
Yeah,
it
right.
might have looked like that's why.
Yeah. I mean that kind of follow through you see all the time. What a impactful call that was, and I think it was a mistaken one. Yeah.
I think it was a legit call.
You do.
It was.
I don't feel like that follow through was an intentional attempt to obstruct, and I feel like that follow through was a kind of follow through you see for many
No, I
hitters.
should have been a little bit quicker on that. Dang it!
I gotta get my sweatshirt.
Hey!
Hey, let's go.
It's all in here.